Chào mừng quý vị và các bạn đến với chương trình Đồng tiền thông minh trên kênh truyền hình FBNC. Và trong chương trình ngày hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ thảo luận về chủ đề diễn biến của nền kinh tế thế giới và cơ hội gì cho Việt Nam từ việc tận dụng dòng dịch chuyển dòng vốn từ các nước phương Tây. Mời quý vị cùng gặp gỡ với hai vị khách mời của chúng ta ngày hôm nay. Phó giáo sư tiến sĩ Nguyễn Trọng Hoài, Phó Hiệu trưởng Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Giáo sư Howard Nicholas, giảng viên Viện Đào tạo Quốc tế Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Dr. Nicholas, right now, what's happening with the world economy? Do we see some signs of recovery since the last time, the financial crisis, 2009?
I think the best way to answer this is by actually going to the causes of the financial crisis and then taking it from there.
Okay.
And I'm one of those people that actually disagrees with the main reasons given for the financial crisis. These reasons typically are that it was a housing bubble in the US caused by excessive credit expansion, and I actually disagree.
Why?
Think, I basically think you're mixing the causes with the symptoms. And the cause is twofold. One is something called the long business cycle. Now, these are cycles of economic activity which span over 60 years.
60 years?
60 years, okay. Roughly. I mean, give or take a decade. And this cycle started in early 1950s, and what we're now seeing is the bottom of the cycle. Mm-hmm. And the phenomena of the bottom is essentially recurrent credit crises and a weakening of the major industrial economies. So this is one major reason, but associated with this is a second major reason, and that is the rise of the developing countries. You see this because today the forecasters are telling us that by 2016, the developing countries as a group will have GDP that surpasses the advanced countries. And to put this in context, you have to see that in 1990, the GDP of the developing countries accounted for under 20% of the world GDP. But by 2016, it'll go beyond 50%. And what's disturbing for the advanced countries is that it's accelerating. Okay. So by 2020, we will see that it's 60%. By 2030, it'll be 80%. So basically, there's a shift of wealth and power to the developing world. And it's unstoppable because the growth rates are roughly 6 to 7%, especially in the more successful developing countries. And in the advanced countries, they're lucky to be hitting 2%. So,
Dr. Hoài, so Dr. Nicholas had just mentioned about the shift of power, wealth, and capital from the West to the East. What is the opportunity for Vietnam? How are we taking of that opportunity to receive the capital for the West?
So, firstly, I do agree with Dr. Howard Nicholas about his idea mentioning about Western countries. They have a slow growth from now and the future. Even they try to move ahead with high growth, but they couldn't, basing on some facts already given by Dr. Howard Nicholas. And of course, they will be looking at Asian countries like Vietnam. And Vietnam is one developing countries, and right now the growth rate on average in Vietnam in the past 10 years around 6%. Yeah. That's higher than Western country growth rate. And the sources of development in Vietnam mostly focus on agriculture, FDI, private sector, and so on. But for FDI development in the past 10 years, we have very good story. For example, in the year 2013, we already received $21 billion US. And in the first 5 months in the year 2014, we already received 500 new projects. And we already forecast that in the year 2014, FDIs come to Vietnam grow around 5 to 6% in comparison with the year 2013. So I think that Vietnam is it still is a good destination for Western investors. And FDI's growth in Vietnam so far is still good, and the investment environment is still okay, and the economy is still stable, even though the CPI in Vietnam we already control. And one more thing, the government still encourage more FDI in Vietnam. So that is the demand side for Vietnam to absorb FDI flows from overseas. But we still have some challenging with other countries in terms of competition. So we try to improve our environment more better, then we can withdraw that flows of Western investment in the coming years.
So are we ready for the shift of capital for the West?
Yeah, we are ready. We are ready, but right now we still have some challenging. For example, about the skilled labor forces. You know that the FDI from Western countries, they are having very high technologies and very good management skill. So if they come, if we do not have enough skilled labor forces, we could not absorb. That's the first one. And the second one, that is the infrastructure. The infrastructure in Vietnam, in comparison with other countries, still weak in terms of road system, in terms of port system. And one more thing from our side, FDI come from overseas, from Western countries, that's very high technologies. But the problem is that how we can absorb and create more value added for Vietnam. So right now, around 90% of FDI in Vietnam just account for average technologies level, average technology level. So if we would like to compete with other countries, we should absorb high-tech FDI.
Sure.
For doing so, Vietnam have to develop supporting industries. If we have a very good supporting industry in the future, we can provide intermediate good for FDI done in Vietnam. Then we can have a more value added, and our GDP become higher, and we have a higher growth rate. That's some challenges already facing for Vietnam economy if we would like to take the advantage from the capital flows from Western countries to Vietnam in comparison with the competition with Asian countries.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, and we'll get back to that after a quick break. Thank you. Thưa quý vị, vừa rồi là những chia sẻ của Phó Giáo sư Tiến sĩ Nguyễn Trọng Hoài, Phó Hiệu trưởng Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh và Giáo sư Howard Nicholas, giảng viên Viện Đào tạo Quốc tế Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh về chủ đề là diễn biến nền kinh tế thế giới và cơ hội nào cho thị trường Việt Nam. Quý vị có thể xem lại chương trình trên trang web fbnc.vn hoặc là cập nhật tại facebook.com/đồng tiền thông minh. Chúng tôi sẽ còn quay trở lại sau ít phút nữa.